Hello everybody and welcome to this lesson. In this lesson we are going to learn about the fill and stroke dialog. Let's click on a rectangle to create a new shape. If I zoom in closely, I see, let's click on the selection tool and click on a blank space to deselect our object. I see now that we have a black rectangle filled with a blue color. The blue color is the fill and the black line is the stroke. We can modify these by clicking on the color bar to change the stroke. If I have it selected, that is. But we can also change the properties in a more precise way by clicking on the Edit, Stroke and Fill, the Fill and Stroke dialog. When I do that, I see I have 3 tabs. I've got the Fill, the Stroke, and the Stroke Style. I can change the color of the fill by clicking on red, green, blue and specifying the red, green and blue values. A is the alpha channel, and the higher the alpha channel is, the more opaque the color, and the lower, the more transparent the color. I can also specify the color as HSL. That's what I usually do. HSL is hue, saturation and lightness. Hue is the color. Saturation is basically how pure the color is. And lightness is how light it is. So if it's very light, it becomes white. And if it's very dark, it becomes black. CMYK is cyan, magenta, yellow, and darkness. We can also use a wheel if you prefer to specify it via the wheel. And then we've got CMS. I never use that, so I will not explain it here. The same can be done to pick a color for the stroke. And we can also pick a stroke style. We can change the width of the stroke, the way the corners are drawn. If we look closely, we see that the corners are drawn in a different way depending on which button we select here. Or we could make our stroke a dotted line, for example. Finally, we have the possibility to blur our objects. If I select a certain amount of blur, we see that the object is blurred. I can also change the amount of opacity that the object has by clicking here. For example, if I draw a red circle below and move it to the bottom, I can see that because the object is partly transparent, I can see the circle underneath. So it's important not to get the opacity of the object, which is specified here, confused with the opacity of the color. So for example, now the object is completely opaque, but the fill color is transparent, which means that the stroke remains opaque, but only the fill becomes transparent. Thank you for watching. In the next lesson, we are going to learn about gradients. Bye bye.